Okay, seeing what's going on here today. I'm Tim Linsdau, video producer, Christian, conservative. But I try to get into these conversations so everybody will listen or give it some thought. What better can you get? Give it some thought. Okay, just checking out the paper. Of course, the big deal that yesterday was that the Democrats took over Congress by the vote of the people. And hopefully that's how we continue. Majority rules and protect the minority in our Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Okay. Ms. Nancy Pelosi was voted in as the Speaker of the House, and she's been that before, of course. So she's very savvy about what goes on in the Congress and how to get things done. Now, since there is a Republican majority in the Senate and a Republican in the White House, that will probably make things difficult for them, or difficult for everybody. But divided government in our country has been to our benefit. When you get a monolithic power structure that only is one side, people have a tendency to get corrupt. And that's our nature. As a Christian, I understand the sin nature that is in us. It's selfish, self-pursuit is what it's all about. And yes, our Constitution leans in that direction with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is about liberty. But with liberty has to come responsibility. As a good steward of what you're given, of a good steward of the planet, yes, of course, a good steward of how you serve others, serve your neighbor. All those things are important. So that's what these people that go to Washington are representing, groups of people that have wants and needs. Now, our government was originally formed to allow us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In other words, the ability to pursue what we think is right, to pursue what we think is our economic desires, to provide for ourselves and our family. That's the basics. The basics is that the government was set up to protect us to do those things, to pursue those things. And of course, protect us from violence, from outside the country, from attacking us, or from violence inside the country. Some of you may have heard some of my conversations about the border caravans that are coming up from Central America and the danger that poses. Interestingly enough, as many years as I've been only a couple miles from the border, well over 30, that the focus has usually been on what happens when people get over the border illegally into this country, and the amount of people we have to hire and train to protect our border and control what comes across economically back and forth across our border. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be a country. We'd be part of something. But this time, it's affecting Mexico quite negatively, and especially Tijuana. They're not a wealthy place. They're not a wealthy city. So they're struggling. How do we take care of thousands of people pouring in here? There's a lot of poor people in Tijuana, and you pile that on top of all of that. My church is involved in taking care of people down there, helping them to build small homes to get them off the ground and inside. Food, clothing, we do all that kind of stuff. And we're not just my church, but many, many more and many organizations help out a lot of poor Mexicans down there, besides the people on this side. So when you get all of those people piling in here, it's dangerous for them, it's dangerous for both sides, and difficult. It's just a difficult mess. So whoever encouraged them to do that did a dastardly deed. I don't know if they assumed that in those volume and numbers that there'd be such an uproar, we'd just run down and haul them all over. Well, it didn't happen. People on the border, the Border Patrol and Customs, are charged with defending this country, besides the National Guard that's down there. And that's what we hire them for, to defend the country. Yes, we have a good well, I don't know about good, but we do have an immigration system that brings in 1 million people a year legally. 1 million people. And we need them to keep growing. Our population, our producing babies, if you will, is low. And it is in some Western countries, it's below replacement. Even Japan is below replacement. And it means eventually you're going backwards. So nations, successful nations, desire to have people to immigrate here and to work and to have families and establish a good life. It's important. So we get back to the Congress. When I was a kid growing up, they used to say, well, Democrats were about the working man, and Republicans were about wealthy or business, and it's probably flip-flopped in some ways. One of the difficult things that I see when they say for the working man is we end up many times paying more taxes and getting less services. Now, I understand these politicians' desire to help everyone out, the benevolent benefactor syndrome, I call it, where they just want to help everybody, but how do we do that? Well, it always takes money, just food and shelter and clothing, just that takes money and support somehow, and it's got to come from somewhere. Now, we do have a powerful economy, the strongest in the world, and yes, it produces a huge gross national product, and I'm sure there's politicians looking at that, boy, if we can get a hold of that, we'll fix everybody's problem. Well, unfortunately, the nature of human beings is that when they get free stuff, it gets out of control. And in this, we've leaned a lot more to a welfare state. We have concerns about our Social Security. I paid into it. My wife's paid into it for years, decades. We're getting some back. And there may be those who are getting it who never paid anything in it, very little. But that's another difficult story. If they say we're running out of money, I don't even know if there's any money in there at all in the first place. I think it's all gone, or it's just being supported by the present taxes that are coming in. That's not a good sign, especially for those generations coming up behind us. So the Congress is got a struggle before them. Some of the big issues are climate change, the big issues to some people and no issue to others. And that's another area that's a struggle in the way we use science. People use science to defend political positions that science may not be accurate. Now that's a problem. And we should always pursue for objective truth in science, religion, politics, wherever we can. And don't allow the power to overwhelm you or overwhelm them to do things they shouldn't do. I mean, many a war and disaster has been fought over that selfish attitude. And that's why I say we should pursue liberty for each individual. And that doesn't mean you take somebody else's money and give it to them. That's not what liberty is. It's the freedom of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, that pursuit of happiness part is not a guarantee you're pursued the opportunity to pursue happiness. And that's a big deal. You have that opportunity to be good stewards of that opportunity and not careless. So if you are successful, you're motivated to help others. We do that. All my friends do that. Strive to help others with what we have gained. Most of my friends and myself are average folks. Some of us are fortunate to own homes in Southern California, which is really difficult, being especially near the coast. It's just the demand here in San Diego and Southern California is huge. The weather's fantastic. There's a lot going on. It's a great place to live. It's going to be popular. It's going to be in demand, and whenever something gets in demand, up goes the price because there's not a lot to go around. There's not enough to go around, and that pushes the price up. There are multiple reasons that contribute to that. When you have a place that's of high demand, high rent as this place is, people with the ability to invest are going to buy and rent those properties. Well, it is available for rent, but it's not available to buy. And that all kind of gets mixed up and pushes that price up, supply and demand. And that's what we deal with in capitalism. It's a struggle, yes. for those people who stumble and fall for maybe no fault of their own, or they're ill, aged. I know what that's like, getting older, arthritis, other issues. I have Parkinson's. All these things can come at us and cause us trouble. And still, it's pretty dang good. I have health care just a few miles from me of almost anything I want. And it's pretty amazing, really. Which I'm very thankful to God for that. But, okay, so there's going to be some battles in Congress. You're going to like some of it and you're going to hate some of it, and that's how it's going to go. Divisions have been divisions in this country before. I was quite familiar with the Civil War. It was a horrible division, cost almost 1 million lives. And, wow. People already today are saying, oh boy, we're in a Civil War situation. You don't want that to happen. Civil war politically, because that's how our system's been designed to change and operate, is through a representative system where people are allowed to vote for their representatives. And if you don't like what they're doing, you can vote them out, but give them, fill their ears with your complaint. But make it a good complaint. It's an objective complaint. Make it that. Think about it. Think it through. But always remember liberty first. Don't take somebody else's liberty away with your ideas or your own. So remember that. Wow. It's a terrific day here in San Diego. We're actually getting into the high 30s, which is pretty cold for us. The rest of you might laugh at that, but it is for us. And it warms up pretty nice in the 60s. But this cold time for us is actually pretty short. And we're always praying for rain. This is the desert area, so that makes it difficult. So enjoy your day. I'm Tim Linsdau. How about commenting and like my video and subscribe to my channel. I got a lot of stuff on there, a lot of history. So enjoy the day. Thank you.